All right, welcome back. Yeah, I was supposed to do this video before the New Year's, and then I got busy. So unfortunately, I am doing it a little later. But it's kind of important to actually do it now because we've had a lot of movements in the market, and so I want to make this basically into two videos. One to basically just this is a typical market watch for the year 2025, so last year, of all the sets that released. But then I want to do a separate video on the buyouts that have been happening because we've hit an issue in UA. But again, this is like something that I would have to cover in a different video. But for now, we're just going to cover the sets from last year, starting with Demon Slayer, our first set from 2025. This was in late January. Um, Very hyped set as we only had four sets before that. It was JJK, Hunter, and Bleach and Code Geass Volume 1s. So we had four sets. This is our fifth set ever in EN. And as you can see, prices are kind of about the same. Obviously, there were some buyouts. The Inusukes and the Tengens never repopulated, but that's kind of expected when boxes are fucking $300 and cases are gone. Just a consequence of the movie having released and created a lot of hype. So of course there's the mix of people who are interested in Demon Slayer after watching the movie, and there's a mix of scalpers, unfortunately, which were people obviously trying to buy out cards, and which obviously worked out because well, a lot of people were also on FOMO buying out these cards, thinking oh they might all be gone because UA has like zero reprint policies, which I'll cover in a different video. For now, the alt charts though, still very high priced. Are they worth it? Kind of. They are nice looking alts, but none of these decks are that great. In terms of meta viability, it's really just Tanjiro and Nezuko. Um, Muzan is decent, but it's just we have Kaijo already. It's really strong. You know, we have like Roy Mustang, Purple Bleach, all that stuff that are still really good. And then we're about to get Ava and SEO Volume 2 later this month, which will totally eclipse Demon Slayer Volume 2, which that's another issue which I'll cover in the next video because it's kind of a whole thing. But that said, SRs, the most expensive ones being Muzan. This is typically a 4 for its own deck. But if you're playing any purple deck for Demon Slayer, it's a 2 of. It's because a tech card, 4 cost, it's a double gen. If you happen to get 20, great. You can move him up and he's an impact 2, damage 2 with 5k BP. Really good. Tajo and Nezuko, of course, they're about $15 now, so you are paying over $100 for the deck if you're getting them now, but I'm gonna be real. If you were interested in getting this deck, you really should have gotten them earlier. Not that they were, well, they were cheaper, because Nezuko's used to be like 11, 12, Tanjiro's used to be like 9, 10, and then obviously they got bought out, but I mean, that was like months ago too, so that's just kind of a consequence of what happens when you wait a little too late to get cards. Obviously, this is applied to players who have been playing, not to new players. To new players, I'm sorry, it's unfortunate, but it does happen with this game especially, which is one of the issues that we are facing right now. Tengen did repopulate though at about $11, $12. Not kind of surprising though. He initially got bought out completely along with the Rengoku's here, the 5-2, because obviously people like Rengoku is the most popular Hashira, and people wanted to play this deck. Unfortunately, it's really garbage. Rengoku Tengen is like the build for red. The other one being Inosuke and Friends, which is way better in my opinion. But yeah, people are mixing these two together. They were playing him. It's not good. It's garbage. So if you want to play the more better red build, you play the Tanjiro and Friends build, which these are still really cheap. $5, $6 for the SRs, really cheap. Otherwise after that we go down, and then here we hit another snag. So these are the final triggers, and yeah, I had to do. I'll just cover the prices now. I really should focus on the prices because these are a whole issue in itself. But yes, the finals have also gone up too, because turns out when people want to build decks and they don't reprint finals in the volume 2s, and don't reprint them in things like tournament promos, the prices go up for generic cards. Even the rares here kind of going up. Well, this is garbage. You do not play this anymore, so who cares about this? That's a box topper. This is just a rare Nezuko, but it's over $1 now, so that's really crazy. Otherwise, everything else is still relatively cheap. That's box topper foil, doesn't really matter. Alright, next set. I have to go in the order because I actually have a calendar pulled up on my phone right now of when these release. Why am I terrible typing? One Punch Man. Yeah. So next set is One Punch Man. This released a little over a month later early on in the year, they kind of spaced out product releases, um, which kind of made the meta a little more interesting. It gave the newer sets a little bit more time, but not really that much. But yes, anyways, this set saw another wave of buyouts. We have the season 3 for One Punch Man. I think it just finished actually, so we will potentially get a volume 3 at some point, but right now it's not on the horizon because our most recent set released announced, I think it's like Inuyasha or something. I don't remember, or I think it's like Slime. I think my Reincarnation Slime was like the last one. Anyways, these also saw waves of buyouts. So none of the 2 stars are bought out. These have kind of maintained their prices, the alts. However, so Terrible Tornado got bought out. This alt, the 1 star, and she is absurdly expensive. This is the 0 cost, but yeah, $45. The last buy was today, actually. I didn't realize that. Otherwise, before that, it was the 3rd of January, then the 2nd, then the 1st. These were relatively cheap. But like I said, as we get on with the game, because they don't really reprint cards or sets, we get to a point where alt art just kind of disappear off the market, and people have quickly realized that. This is just the SR, by the way. It's for a pretty good yellow build. This is either in the Tornado Sisters build, or you're playing it with the Saitama Blizzards, because this is just on play, draw 2 cards, super broken. 16 to $17 a copy for an SR. So if you wanted to build this, unfortunately, it is a little higher. Granted, compared to most of the TCGs, still really cheap, but it's just you're paying a bit more for a non-meta deck. That's the thing you have to accept. But at the end of the day, this is a character card game. You play whatever you like. You play whoever you like. Saitama's did get bought out, but then these repopulated. These are about 12. Yeah, these are about $12 a copy now. We had a bunch of sales. It was around the end of last year when the Saitamas were completely bought out. At one point, they were 20 at minimum, but nope. As I said, with SRs, sometimes they will quickly repopulate, sometimes they won't. It just kind of depends. One Punch was kind of a really, really cheap set for the longest time. This was not too expensive. So, yeah, Genos has 7s. And after that, it just goes quickly downhill with all these other cards being worth nothing. It doesn't help also that JP got some exclusive cards to help bump some of these decks, specifically Metal Bat, Speedo Sonic, and the Tornado Sisters. But we haven't gotten them in EN yet, so does it make them meta viable? Not necessarily. It does make them at least slightly better, which is nice. But hey, if you want to play other decks like here, like Garou, still super cheap. Nothing has really gone up yet. It's because we don't have a Volume 2 announced yet. Now, Sword Art. This is the big one, okay? So this released in May 2nd. This set was super far out. By super far, I mean almost 2 months after One Punch Man release. So we were in the same meta for 2 months, which is actually, again, fine. I like it when a set has time to breathe so that we can enjoy the decks we have. However, because this was early UA, this marked, not including Sword Art, ending with One Punch Man, we only had 6 sets. People are already tired of the Bleach and Hunter because we played them so long. JJK was still obviously still one of the best decks with Sukuna, but again, when you've played the same decks for many months, you kind of just want to play the new sets. And well, when you have a 2-month delay, it might feel kind of stale because again, character card games live off their IPs, and the less sets you have, the less staying power you have. So you kind of have to introduce sets fast, which is really unfortunate, but it's kind of how you retain players and attract new ones. Again, like I said, I like it when sets breathe, but for character card games, I get it. That said, still really expensive for a lot of stuff. We had also buyouts. So the Alice and the Yu-Gi-Oh 2 stars completely bought out and have not repopulated. The problem is, so Volume 2 is releasing in a couple of weeks. I believe the release is in 2 weeks, and then the official release is in 3. Yeah, because I think the 30th of January is the official release. The 23rd is the release event. The release event week. So the thing with Volume 2 with SEO, you have to remember, is that all of these decks get significant boosts. Like, actually huge boosts. Whether it makes the meta viable, not necessarily. It's really just GGO that gets the meta viability. But these decks are a lot better. Alice and Friends, so Alice, Kyoto, Yu-Gi-Oh, and then Integrity Knights. becomes their own entirely own build, these get a lot better. So these did get bought out. Everything else though, still kind of up there. But the sit on 2 stars. Yeah, $500 for this? No thanks. This was last bought last month for 283. Before that, you can see it's 400. So month by month almost. October, I guess they just really liked it. But again, these are already getting delisted pretty quickly. These are already going away because the closer we get to SEO Volume 2, the more people want the alts because it's a really good deck. It becomes a lot more meta viable, like significantly meta viable. Like not including the new color, which is probably the best. GGO easily gets the best boost. The alts though, the 1 stars, we don't count these 2 stars. These 2 stars or whatever. The 1 stars are still kind of up there. Asana's used to be 50, now they're 35 minimum, but no one's really buying it. Well, kind of. They kind of are, but not really. You just look at the market price compared to the lowest listed. Sinons were bought out for the longest time. She's actually one of the first alts in this set to get bought out, actually. And it kind of repopulated, but you have boxes at $100, cases at 1,000. I mean, it is a popular IP. A lot of people do like this in EN. And then you have your SRs, right? Asanas were bought out before, kind of repopulated, 25, 28. You have people buying them for $20. The funny thing is, blue gets a pretty decent boost, but blue isn't even the best deck. But it is Kirito Asuna, so it makes sense. People like them. It's a cute pairing. Blah 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 blah. GGO though, this is the worrying thing because of how good it gets. You're playing 4 Sinons and 4 Kiritos, and Sinon was one of the first SRs to actually get bought out initially. $20 a copy. You're spending, well, more than that actually. This is about 23, 24. You're spending over 100 for just a playset of these SRs now. This is one of those issues where if you got in early, great, you were rewarded. But if you didn't get in early, then you were just outright screwed because you can't really play them without them. You can play a budget version, but it's not going to work out well for you in terms of playability and what it wants to do. The funny thing is Kirito is $4 because the deck plays 4 Kiritos, 4 Sinons. But this has not been bought out. So if you're going to get the cards, at least get the Kiritos now. These are like less than $5. You should just be getting these now anyways. Some builds do play like 3. Weird builds play only 2 for some fucking stupid reason. It's because you have a new Sinon raid, so you do have a lot of raids now, like, technically, but this is also Kirito raid on its own, so he doesn't conflict with the Sinons anyways. And also, the new Kirito reduces the cost of your raids by 1 if they're on the front line. So theoretically, 4 of them on the front line, Sinon costs 2, Kirito costs 7, and then the new Sinon costs 0, because I think she's a 4-cost raid. But the other SRs have also been going up there. Sinons, Asunas, this is over 5. This is over almost $7 now too. This is because Goddess gets a really good upgrade. They get a new Leafer raid, which at 4 less life puts you up 1 life again. Because it lets you put the base to your life face up. It's a really good upgrade to the deck. It also gets a better Sinon. It's like it's a 1 cost Sinon instead of 2 cost, so you could just replace the 2 cost for it. It's a lot more viable now. Even the Alice's, man. These just gotta go down. These were $5 a couple days ago. Yeah, people were buying them for like almost $5, but it's relisted back down. Oh, not even really, actually, because all these sellers have fucking shipping. How are you 10,000 sales and you still charge shipping? What the fuck? I'm sorry, man, but if you have over 10,000 sales, why do you still charge shipping? I get it. It's a store. They have to make money. But at the same time, man, $1.31 shipping, fuck off. And you only have 1 copy, man. Come on. What? I just think it's bullshit. If you have a lot of sales, at a certain point, it's like you should just be doing the free shipping with $5 or more. Which they're able to, but they won't. Whatever. Anyways, never mind. I guess it is $5 a copy. So it's $5 for the Alice's because you do play 5 over this in the deck. And then the Yu-Gi-Ohs here. Yu-Gi-Ohs are good because you play obviously in the Alice build, the Integrity Knights, but you were also playing this initially with Goddess because before we didn't really have impacts except for Sinons, and Sinon only gets impact at 2 or less life. So this was another way to get impact in the deck, but also as a raid, well, vanilla he's a 4K if you just flat play them. Otherwise, as a raid, he also has Nullify Impact, which is just a really good ability to have. The one sideline never really mattered for the Goddess build, but yeah, you were playing this before. Now with the new Lifa, you just cut the Yu-Gi-Ohs out, which is really nice. But Yu-Gi-Ohs, $5 getting on to almost $8. This is really awful. If you want to get them, this is the problem. If you're wanting to get this, like, you just need to get the cards now. I shat on the seller, but hey, they have 4 of them, so fuck it. You might as well buy all 4 of them if you're gonna play the deck. The problem is that they don't reprint any of the SRs and stuff, right? They never reprint SRs in sets. The only times that they were quote unquote technically reprinted was JJK Volume 2 because of the Alt Art UG 4 cost. We didn't get in Volume 1. I don't remember how it released in JP, but we didn't get in Volume 1, so they just put it in Volume 2 instead as a 1-star. And then, even the APs are kind of going up. But then we do another. I should really cover this in another video. I keep getting distracted by the finals. The finals are a lot. $4 to $5 for the yellow final. $2 to $3 for the green final. Again, I will cover this later. Otherwise, after this, everything goes down in price. It's a lot cheaper for some of these other alts and even this. Like, if you're gonna build a budget deck for SAO, you could play Yuki Asuna, the ALO build with surrounding Yuki, really good because Yuki gets a new raid. It's actually a pretty competent deck, not gonna lie. So, hey, that's something to kind of look at, especially if you're trying to just build an SAO deck, especially for rare battles and you're coming in a little later. That's something to think about. You also have the Lifa too, ALO blue. It's a fast aggro deck. Outputs body super fast because your ceiling is like 3 costs. So this is also something to consider, especially since she's so cheap. But we move on to our next set, Black Clover. This was released the end of May, so this was about a month off. It was in the same month as SAO, but it was like still like a month away. So after the 2-month gap, now we're back to basically like month by month. 3 stars have been bought out for a long while here. That hasn't changed. The 2 stars are still. Yeah, I mean, the Uno only has 1 listing left, which is kind of scary, but also 150 is too much. Let's see. Astas, these went down. These were 20 a week ago, but they're back down to, looks like 10. But there's also only 5 listings left. So, we have the anime for the next season's anime announced officially. It should air sometime later this year, which means eventually we will get a Volume 2 of this set. And so what happens is when the Volume 2 happens, well, unless they reprint SRs and stuff, and staples, these will slowly get bought out. You will not see them again. But again, if you're interested in IPv4, you would have gotten these already, right? It's just unfortunate for new players, but for older players, you really have no excuse. If you've been playing for a while now as an older player, in like the past couple of months, even, right, you kind of had no excuse. This was like the most expensive SR for the longest time. It's just you had so many opportunities to buy these because there were so many listed. It's more of a factor of people just didn't think about it. They think it will go down in price, it'll be cheaper, and then when they get bought out, they get on complete FOMO and they go, oh shit, I need to get my cards now, and then they buy them when they're higher. It's like, well, sometimes you have to bite the bullet, especially with UA. But yeah, 11, 10, 15, 15, 17. They only have 1 copy each. So this is, if you're trying to build Asta for Black Clover now, this is more of a go on Facebook Marketplace or go on like a market Discord and try to buy a completed deck at that point. Maybe locally they might have it, but it's somewhat doubtful, honestly. Especially when people usually keep their decks, unless they're actively advertising that they're trying to sell them. Julius's were gone for SRs, but otherwise the altars are still there. Noel is still available, $6. Noel Mimosa is actually a pretty good build too, so that's not bad. Nox, 4 or 5. Yeah, Mimosa's only $3. Yeah, the rest of these are just really cheap. These aren't worth anything. The next set, the really scary one. So, Volume 3 was officially announced in JP. We have our very first Volume 3 set, which is Bleach. This should theoretically complete the series because it should complete Thousand Year Blood War. Because the next arc after is the Hell arc, but I don't know if we'll actually get that. And if we do get it, I don't know if it'll be Volume 4 or if it'll be its own set entirely. Who knows? But we do have official Volume 3 confirmation. So, this begs the question. If you're going to build Bleach, when are you going to get cards? Because these are not going to get reprinted again, realistically. Some of these cards are also kind of expensive. This is an altar that's way too expensive. I get it, because it's Orihime, and also look at the cleavage, but $55 from unverified sellers? Holy shit. Yeah, the last buy was 2 days before New Year's Day. 23, 23. That's like a fair price, but these are way too expensive. Sorry, this is not Nikkei. Sorry, not sorry. This is not Nikkei. Who cares? Um, Everything else here relatively cheap. These are all charts after all. However, the Genpachi's here. Oh, I didn't even realize the Uryu's got bad out. Damn, I should have gotten my alts. It is what it is. Who cares? Ichigo's. The box art is kind of up there too. Everything else is still relatively cheap in terms of, yeah, these are still really cheap. Who cares? So buying the collection made Toshi Ken a really, really strong deck. Strong enough that this is easily a top 5 deck in my opinion. Even with Ava and SAO Volume 2 coming out later this month, Kenpachi Toshi is a really strong deck. Strong body, aggro push, and Toshi for complete control of the board with his unique freeze. It's a very, very strong and viable deck. So Kenpachis are about 7, climbing on to $9 a copy. Yeah, these were already highly priced as it is. But again, before, if you have been looking at this set before, these were less than $2. This was back in September, so this was 4 months ago. 4 months ago, these were really cheap, and then even this is like, I think this is around the time the binder collection was announced due in September, which is why you have a price spike here. But oh my god, like we had this, you had time to buy it. If you didn't buy it, it is on you. I have to look at volume 1 too, unfortunately. Yeah, we'll do in this video, fuck it. We'll look at you in the other video. The volume 1 stuff has been slowly getting bought out, but for green SRs, yeah. No, you don't play the 4-2, sorry. It's the Toshiro specifically. Toshiro is still relatively cheap. It's just the binder collection stuff is really awkward. The Bankais, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, Toshiro is being about $4 or $5 here. Not surprised. It's a 4 for the deck. And then let me see if they get you new selection. Sorry, this is a little different. This new card selection. This one. Yeah, if you're trying to get these, good luck. They're fucking expensive, $20. But by the way, each binder only came with 1 of each card. So if you're trying to build these decks, you play as a 4 of. You play as a 4 of. This is like a 2 of at least, but some builds do play 4 of, which is really good because it just like scries 2. But and then the Shinsui also really good. This is a 2 of at least, if not a 3 of. I don't know if he's a 4 of. You could probably play him as a 4 of because he is a 2-drop. 3k with a search. He's like the only search in your deck, by the way. But yeah, if you're trying to build a deck, the SRs from the booster sets themselves are relatively cheap. It's just the binding collections. If you're trying to build it meta competent, you do need these. These 2 are the required cards, and like you see the price, $20, $25. You are paying for total. You are paying over $200 for the entire deck. This is just going to be the problem, especially with the binder collection stuff. The problem with these is that if they release stuff like this, unless they reprint these cards, these decks are basically inaccessible to a good amount of players. Because this is more of a budget-friendly TCG in general, but if they're trying to build it for meta competency, it's like, on one hand, if you're building a meta deck, expect it to be expensive, e.g., or for example, Kenshin, Roy Mustang, etc. On the other hand, these are really expensive because unlike booster sets, these were only released in a premium Bandai product. Only available on the store, only available for pre-order, and at this point you cannot order it anymore. It's all done. It was basically, I think it's like printed made to order basically. So, unfortunately, this means that unless we get these reprinted, these are just inaccessible cards. This just makes the deck probably the most expensive deck in the game. That used to go to Gurren Gwain because the SRs for Gurren and Gwain used to be like 20 a piece, if not 30. But yeah, this is now like the most expensive deck here. So, and this is a problem that we'll probably address later too in another video. Urgy's got bought out though. Fuck. Wish I got mine. Oh well. Well, I guess to be fair, we did get the Volume 3 announced, and well, this should probably be a better deck. Stern Raiders did not get any cards in the binder collection. So theoretically, Stern Raiders is the cards to look at. If you're trying to build decks for Bleach, and you want to build Stern Raiders, get the cards now because they're still really cheap for the SRs. It's just this is an alt art, so it's a little different, obviously. But yeah, the 3rd of January, they all got bought out. Ichigo's I looked at really quickly. Who cares? Purple doesn't really matter. All right. Next up, JJK. This is another issue because the Volume 3 of Bleach was announced. JJK Volume 2 is on the horizon for being hit. 2 stars were bought out. 3 stars were bought out for a while, but the Gojo 2 star, the Sukuna 2 star, completely gone. Some of these alt arts are the 1 stars are really highly priced. Kento's minimum $50. Fuck that. This is a rare card. This is the alt art at $30. That's crazy. Toji's got completely bought out, which is funny because you don't really play this card at all in any purple deck. If you're playing him, he's like a 2 of maybe, but he's an 8/2. Yeah, the condition, he can cost, I believe, 2 less energy. Yeah, if the combined total of your life and your opponent's life is 4 or less, so, think of Speed of Sonic, this card's cost is only 2. But at the same time, it's like you and your opponent need to have 4 or less life between each other. Otherwise, it's cost 8, which is fucking stupid. So this card's trash. Doesn't matter that he's Snipe Impact on play. Who cares? He's still trash anyways. Yeah, these are the alt charts. So the issue with this set, so Sukuna got 3rd place at the last regionals in Florida. Granted, it was a really super dog shit build. It was fucking ass, and they got 3rd, which really tells you anyone can win this fucking game or do well, because who gives a fuck? Yeah, you'd be a good pilot, but man, that build was so dog shit. Anyways, this card specifically was short printed in the set. They don't have a lot of short prints. The only other short print I'm aware of is the Reno SR from Kaiju number 8. So this card got shorted, and because of the win in Florida, this was already steadily going up. But the win in Florida is when it really spiked, because he's completely sold out at one point. And now you're paying $13 for a rare. This is a fucking rare, by the way, right? The thing is, this is a 4 for the deck. It's your new color trigger, Yuji. If you have a finger, he just generates 2. It's super free. He doesn't have to be active. You don't have to. You could play the active gens, but you're playing this in the deck. You're also playing like the other 3 cost 1 too. But it's just, this is just a free 2 gen on the color trigger. Of course you're gonna max out on this. He's just way expensive now. The deck is still relatively budget because the Sukunas, the Yujis are really cheap still, the SRs. But it's just this rare specifically because it's a 4 of. Yeah, you're spending, I mean, if you're going off of this shop, you're spending $52 for a playset. You're spending $52 for rares. But again, this is a consequence of them having randomly short printed this card for some reason. So, everything else is still pretty cheap. Kind of. Wait, what the hell? Am I reading this right? What the shit? Wait. That's like really expensive. This is a U. Was it short printed? Wait, this isn't the release event either. What the hell? What the hell? Wait. This is an okay. So this is an uncommon. I don't know if this was short printed. This is a good card. You're playing this as a 4 of in the new Kyoto build because you're playing Todo Mekamaru. This is an uncommon though. I don't remember if this is short printed or not, but fuck it. Yeah, it's just really expensive, I guess. Yeah, almost $5 for it. Holy, actually more than that. 5, 7, $8, 8, 9? What the fuck? Wait, these are really expensive. Holy shit. I didn't realize. Okay. Never mind then. I guess you're paying a lot for that. I mean, again, the Kyoto school build, it's still cheap because you get the Todos from Volume 1, which aren't that expensive from last I checked. But yeah, like this, the Mekamaru rares, this is really cheap. This is a common bulk. It doesn't matter. It's just this card specifically, the uncommon, which is hard. Maybe it was short printed. I'm just not aware of that. But everything else is pretty cheap in the set. But yeah, again, cards are getting bought out. When people discover interest in the game at a later time, it gets harder and harder to kind of get the cards that you want. Now, Full Metal is the awkward one because I don't think we get a Volume 2 for this ever. Just because if you see the cards in the set, you understand what I mean. They kind of cover the entirety of Full Metal. So it's like, well, maybe they get a binder collection, but there's not going to be a Volume 2 for this set. Not really much has moved here. Yeah, the Envy's got bought out for 2 stars. The alts are still about the same price. Yeah. It's just Roy Mustang is still quote unquote pricey for a deck. 11, 12 for the Mustangs, 9, 10 for Rizas probably. Yeah, you're still paying almost 100, if not 100 for the Roy Mustang deck, which is still pretty good for a fairly competent meta deck. It's not top meta anymore. It's like tier 2 now, but it's still a pretty good deck, all things considered. And then after that, yeah, everything else is just super dirt cheap in this set, so it doesn't really matter. This one also, because the JJK was released the end of June, it was almost two. No, sorry, it was a month after Bleach, and then we're back on the month schedule again, like I said earlier. So then Full Metal was released July 25th, so it's like a month after JJK. And then we have the next set. I won't go too deep into this. Code Geass Volume 2. This is the worst set ever released. Because not only are the upgrades not that good for the decks, for the previous decks, the upgrades are primarily bulk, and that's more specific towards Lancelot. Um, 3 stars are really cheap. All the 2 stars are like nothing. It's just C2 or bust. Wait, I thought there was another 2 star. Maybe they just never got bought. I thought there's more 2 stars in this. Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, these are really cheap. The problem is Lancelot's upgrades were in the form of a rare and like an uncommon card, so they're worth nothing. And then Purple's upgrades were side grades. They didn't really matter because it's like a new build in itself basically. And then the pizza got the SR, but that's the only real upgrade. It's a 4 for the deck, but it's also pizza. It's still fucking ass. Otherwise, Code Geass Volume 2 still really disappointing. It's just a really bad set. And the other issue with this, I guess there wasn't that many 2 stars. The other issue with this set is because the next Code Geass set they got in JP was Rosa Rebellion, based on the film, which means Code Geass there probably won't be a Volume 3 ever. They just move on to the movies and stuff. And Rosa Rebellion is entirely separate because you cannot play Rosa Rebellion with Code Geass here, Lelouch the Rebellion. So entirely separate sets essentially. And then the Volume 2 stuff just wasn't that good, so this won't really change that much. Attack on Titan's the next one. This was August 29th. This was a double release with Code Geass as well. On release, this was basically a dead on arrival set in terms of meta. Levi's did get bought at one point because people were overhyped, but then people don't realize Levi was a really fucking shit deck. If you high rolled, sure, you can double raid Levi's 6 cost and get like 6 swings in. The problem is any kind of removal or control board really kills the momentum. Levi swings first attack, special, kills it, done. Levi hits yellow color trigger, freezes it, stops it, done. You don't get to restand. You don't get the other attack. Levi hits a raid character effect. It doesn't even matter. 5 cost Ichigo. 5-6 cost Todo swap. Doesn't matter. Too many ways to stop the momentum. Obviously, you high roll and your opponent's life is like non-existent. Who gives a shit? You got a bunch of attacks in. With the last attack being a snipe on play, basically. But in general, Levi was just too high rolly for what it wants to do. We do not have a Volume 2 announced at all for this, which is really worrying because Volume 2 doesn't really change the meta. Blue gets a lot better. Historia becomes the best deck. The red decks get a little better. Green gets slightly better. More for the Zeke build than anything, but it just gets slightly better. And the new color is really shit. It's yellow. It's not good. But the problem is, at this point, because we have like stuff like Sakamoto Days, we have Ava, we have Reincarnated as a Slime coming out too. We have all that. The problem is this becomes out of meta if we get a Volume 2 later this year, right? So you wouldn't be getting from meta. You would just be getting because you like the decks, which is fine. It's still a really affordable set overall. $450 for the Errands there. $450 for the Levi's here. Yeah, still really cheap. $3 for this. $250 for the Irwins here. $450 for those Levi's. Yeah, this is still a really cheap set. If you want to build any of these decks, they're all like less than $30 probably. Well, Levi himself is a little over. It's less than 50. You're paying 50. You're paying less than 50 for any of these decks realistically. So, still a really cheap set. And because we don't have a Volume 2 on the horizon, this set just kind of suffers right now. But that's probably fine. And then we go to the meta appending set, Rurouni Kenshin. This basically broke the meta. Released, and then same deck in red. But even then, still one of the best decks in the game for EN. That says stuff have kind of moved. Wow, what the fuck is this? Okay, so, I mean, yeah, I guess that's not my surprise. It's a 4 for the deck. So, Kenshin, still a somewhat expensive deck. You're paying 60? No, you're paying 18. You're paying like almost 20. Yeah, you're basically paying like 19, 20 for a copy of this. So you're paying like almost 80 for a playset of her. And then you're paying about $15 for the Kenshin, so 60. Yeah, you're paying almost 200 for the deck, which it is a meta deck. So for a meta deck, all things considered, that's pretty good. Obviously, it's not like Pokemon levels are cheap, but it's still pretty good compared to a lot of other TCGs. Especially like One Piece, because One Piece is really fucking expensive. Hajime's did go up. It got like 6 or 7 of the top 7 back in the Florida regionals, so these were inevitably going to go up. And that's also a really good deck. It's still really good into our current meta too. Like Red Kenshin is bad. No. Purple Kenshin is really good into a lot of decks in the meta. But Red Kenshin is really good into purple specifically. So, hey, really good decks. Strong. Probably will see them at the upcoming championships in Vegas in next month. Hajime's did go bought out the alt charts, but that doesn't really matter. Alt charts don't necessarily matter because they're all still relatively cheap, all things considered. After that, all these just get really cheap. Blue, I know, is cheap as shit. This deck sucks. I wish Hiko was better, but the fact he has no protection means any kind of special removal just outright kills him, which fucking sucks. It's a 7 cost. You need a lot of double gens. You really have to like high roll it to get anywhere. And even then, the deck just dies to like anywhere. It's just so sad. I wish it was better, but it's so ass. Anyways, the set's just whatever. As expected, Kenshin's still really expensive. Also, September 26th. So this was a month after Attack on Titan and the Code Geass double set. Hunter. So, with the Volume 3 release, Volume 2 here was really, really bad because it continued Greed Island and had like the Razor's capture arc. It didn't introduce Chimera Ants, which is really unfortunate. It does say though, if we get a Volume 3, which we should for Hunter, we should get Chimera Ants realistically, right? And I know that's very hyped because it's like one of the I don't know Hunter as well, but from what I've been told and what I've read up, Chimera Ants is one of the most popular arcs in the series. So, I mean, when we get Volume 3, hope there's Chimera Ants so it helps to set out. But in general, all these are still really cheap. This was bought out a few days ago, but I guess someone repopulated with a $550 listing. But yeah, it's just not worth it. It's not a good looking. It's an okay 3-star, but it's Hisoka. It's so weird too because the 3-star in the first set was gone. You would think it's the Killua, right? But no, the 3-star is Hisoka. I know he's a popular character, but you didn't want to make it this Killua. You didn't want to pull an Ichigo and make it a 3-star and a 2-star. I don't know, man. This is just a sick art. I think this should have been a 3-star in my opinion. I think that's where the problem lies too. Otherwise, everything else is dirt cheap. Like absurdly cheap. These are like nothing. Your highest one's like $1 for the SRs. Yeah, that's just sort of a problem with Volume 2s. But the thing is, once you get Volume 3, you can't expect some of these prices to go up eventually because they won't reprint this set again. And stuff like Bisky's Meal. There's only 4 listings for this also. What the fuck? Jeez. 4 listings? Wait, what are their prices? Yeah, that's the problem. These finals. These finals are going to go out, and then how are you going to get them? Now a lot of people open Hunter. Are you really going to open a whole box just for finals? I don't think so. This seller has 4 of them. Then it goes to it goes to almost $3 for a copy. $5 for 2. Yeah, it's really awkward now with the finals too. Not really much to say about Hunter though, because it doesn't really matter in terms of meta. Then we go to Kaiju. Kaiju next. Top meta set. This is really good going into especially the championships for Vegas. Reno Kikuru and Mina Reno, really good into meta also, still really good. This was October 31st. This was a double release with Yu Yu Kenshin or Yu Yu Hakusho. And no surprise, this would do a lot better than Yu Yu. Yu Yu's popular, but so is Kaiju, and Kaiju's more mainstream, so it attracts with the more modern audience. Alt-arts are still kind of up there, which is kind of nice. Again, I'm one to say if it's an alt-art, it should be highly priced. I'm sorry. If you want your blinged out decks, you're gonna have to pay a price. These should not be cheap. I think I'm glad that these are. It's also because they're meta too, but I think any alt-arts being as cheap as they are is criminal. Reno in this set for some reason. Because this is a 2-color set, it's a little different. But this was short printed. Renos were hard to get, and so the price matches it. It's $13.50, $14, $15, $17. If you're gonna get the cards, these are not gonna go down. Like looking at this price, I would just buy from this seller or whatever, because I mean, a short printed SR, it's a four of in both yellow builds, Reno Kikuru, Reno Mino. So you really want to get these cards if you're going to play them. There's no point in waiting. The season also ended a little bit ago, I think. So we will get a volume 3 or volume 2 for Kaiju at some point, but I mean, that's the thing. If we're gonna get eventually a volume 2, you should probably get your cards now. There's no point in waiting. You just bite the bullet and get the cards now because they're not gonna reprint this set ever again, probably. And you're basically shooting yourself in the foot if you don't get these now. Because watch later when they inevitably spike when a volume 2 is announced, and then you can't get the SRs anymore because they're all gone. Because a bunch of people will jump on and be like, I want to build this deck. I need to get these cards. I need to get them now. Funny enough, Kikuru though, pretty cheap though, $1.60. This is really cheap for one of the top meta decks. It's just a super fast-paced deck. If it rolls, it's like you flood your board in like 2 or 3 turns. It's super fast. It hits fast too. So otherwise, everything else still relatively cheap. It's just the Renos are more expensive for this deck, but it's also just a short printed. And then Yu Yu Hakusho. This is really funny. I think he had one deck in top 16 at Florida, and it was the Toguro build. Because turns out when you high roll on Toguro, it's fucking good. It's just a 5k 8 cost raid, impact 1, damage 3. On play, your entire opponent's front line loses 1,000, and then you kill a 4k or less. This is just a really good raid. It's a deck that relies on high rolling kind of. Because if you don't high roll, it really sucks. You basically get him or nothing. It's a game where they have no mid game, so it plays like a typical high gen deck. It's basically all or nothing. It's end game or you die. But hey, you get to end game, you're pretty much solid. And if you high roll it, then fuck it. You get a bunch of Togurus out and you just instantly win. It is what it is. One of the best 3-stars though, in my opinion. I don't really care about Yu Yu as an IP, but I will admit this is a very good looking 3-star. It's super sick. He's shooting the spirit gun. It just looks super clean. Especially when compared to the shitty 2-stars. This set's so ass with their 2-stars. I think this is a funny one because this is the only art he has of him in its disgusting monster form. But all the other 2-stars are really garbage, so it is what it is. The alt arts have kind of held up value just because this is a little more niche set. So the alt arts have retained their value, which is really nice. The SRs haven't. They've repopulated since then. So if you're trying to build these decks, it's not terrible. 8, 16, 20 for it's like $32, $36 for the place of the Hieis. You're playing Hiei Kurama, really, if you're not stupid. So, yeah, you're spending like over 50 for the Hiei Kurama deck. Yusuke, you're spending less than 30. Well, no, sorry, not less than 30. You're spending less than 50 also for the Yusuke deck. But, hey, these are relatively cheap. You're spending like 50. You're spending around $50 for these decks. That's pretty good price for pretty good decks into our meta. Are they top 5? Not even close. But they are still like tier 1.5, tier 2 decks. They're still really good. The prices haven't really adjusted. They haven't really gone crazy, which is really nice. So if you're trying to get the card, just get them now, right? There's no point. Then we go on to Nikkei, of course. I'm gonna have to cover my favorite set, of course. Fuck it. This set is fucking stupid. So, none of these decks are meta viable. They released these. They didn't change the hit rates, obviously. The 2-stars have gone down, as I've been saying. It's just they were way too expensive. Even the Anise is way too expensive. Holy shit. This is the most niche IP ever released in EN. In JP, they have more niche sets. But in EN, this is the most niche set. It's just with people like me, it attracts a certain player base. And that player base, look, we already spend money on gachas. Of course we're going to spend fucking money on cards, dude. And I'm playing this goddamn game, so I'm a stupid schmuck who's going to buy the alt arts. Anyways, it has a 1-star that's $50. So one thing to note is that this set has 29 1-stars. It has more 1-stars and more 2-stars than any set in the history of UA. So of course, some cards are going to be a lot higher price, especially the 1-stars, right? Because you're not getting every single 1-star in a case. In a case, you're getting, what is it? You're getting like 24 alt arts per case. So there's a chance you get dupe alt arts also. But that said, Noir is a super popular character, big boobs. It is what it is. It attracts certain player base, which is literally mine. $53 though. Way too fucking expensive. I'm lucky I got my playset early on. I'm lucky I got it. I knew they were gonna go up. And that's the thing. If you want to get alt arts, you knew you had to bite the bullet. If you were a fan of Nikkei, if you're a fan of Nikkei and you want to get the alt arts, you know you had to get them because these are inevitably going to go up. Blancs is the twin to Noir. $34 here, going on to 35. Soda is 21, but why is the market price 44? That's kind of weird. Wait, this 21 probably doesn't exist. It does. Oh, it's just some shitty seller, dude. Fuck, what's it with these sellers? 19.99 shipping? Kill yourself. Okay, anyways, like, yes, nope, soda's $44, $45. Yeah, as expected. Big Booba. Turns out, really attractive for cards. The rest of them. This is also the first set we ever had with the box topper alts. They didn't do it for Demon Slayer. I don't think we're doing it for Evangelion or SAO2. So yeah, this is the only set we've ever had in EN. And probably for a long while, where we have box topper alts specifically. But the pull rates are ass anyways. It was 3 per case. So these are inevitably going to be expensive. And the niece is obviously the most popular character of the ones. So she was going to be the most expensive regardless. Also, is the most playable deck. Guilty 20, yeah. These are just really expensive now. Yeah, $12 another box topper. 13. Alice got bought out a couple days ago, this 1-star for the box toppers. She did repopulate, I guess. There's a copy for $18. Again, I'm glad I got mine. This is the benefit. If you pay attention to JP and you look at their market, you just know what cards will go up. But also, if you pay attention to JP and sets, you can get a look at what cards are being released and you can get an idea of the meta impact it might have so that you know when to get cards. Because some cards, most of them go down in price, but especially for all charts, they can just go up in price. Even base SRs can potentially go up. It's just all of a matter of, are you paying attention to the market when you get in on it? There's no point in just kind of waiting for some sets, because sometimes the sets just explode in value like they kind of are for UA right now, which again, cover in another video. But right now, no, Nikkei is still cheap in terms of decks. They are pretty fun decks, but this is also because this was a testing ground for a lot of mechanics. So Neon's 4, Rabbi's 4, yeah, these are still really cheap for base SRs. I'm actually curious on the foil APs actually. Let me look at APs really quick and then can I see foils? Yeah. Base APs, yeah, holy shit, they dropped. Yeah, this is obviously gonna be the most expensive. This one 19, no, sorry, 20, 20, 30, 33 for some reason. This is a really bad looking foil also. 29, 30 for the Alice one. 18. This is also another bad looking foil at AP. And then $13. This is just our least popular one. I haven't seen the foil for this yet, but this is just the least popular of the design choices, which makes sense. I mean, look at this compared to all these other ones. Anyways, that's Nikkei though. The thing is, we have a Precious booster in JP. They haven't done any additional reveals yet, but there is a Precious booster releasing in JP, which means we will get support for this set in the future, and it's only going to be for the 3 colors, which means no new colors. So if you want to play Nikkei, you really should just buy the cards now. Because again, when support announces, they're not going to do another reprint of this set. In JP to date, Nikkei is the only set ever released that got a second edition. It was so popular, it got bought out. And then so instead of doing they did a reprint wave, they did a second edition specifically. The second edition did not have signatures, so they did not have 2 stars and above. But it still reprinted cards, and I think it still got bought out anyways. But yeah, it's the only set in JP even to ever have gotten a reprint. Otherwise, even in EN, like I think for JJK Volume 2, they did like a second wave of printing, but that's about it. They don't reprint cards in like tournament packs or anything, which is the problem with this game. And then we're gonna look at the last set of the year. Holy shit, we're almost done. It's already over 40 minutes. Holy shit. Yeah, Demon Slayer kind of exploding in value. 1800, way too much. Fuck off. All the 2 stars definitely have dropped. Shinobu's obviously the most expensive along with Mitsuri. Otherwise, all the other dude Hashiras are 200 and less. Expected. The other alt charts, they are really nice and clean, but they're relatively cheap, all things considered. If you're gonna get alts, this is not a bad time. I implore you, get these cards now, okay? This is Volume 2. You need these cards to supplement your decks from Volume 1. This is a 4 of in Tanjiro Nezuko. This is a potential 4 of in Hashira. Otherwise, you can just tech in maybe a copy or two in Tanjiro Nezuko, but this is like a potential 4 of in Hashira, right? This is a 4 of in the Tanjiro blue deck. It's Tanjiro Mitsuri is the better deck, but Tanjiro Nezuko, Tanjiro Tokyo, they all work. They all coincide with each other. They all kind of work well together. So you can play Tanjiro Tokyo, it doesn't matter. The blue is a whole mix. The Muzan's a 4 of for his deck. It's really cheap, less than $1. Nezuko's 50 cents. Fucking Jesus Christ. Rengoku is a 4 of for the Rengoku deck. It's still dog shit, but hey, it's a Rengoku deck, so it is what it is. Tokyo's, why am I looking at foil stills? Yeah, Tokyo's still really cheap. Also went back on it for some reason, so let's go back to the second page. Yeah, Tokyo's really cheap. I'm telling you now. Okay, I'm telling you now. When the second part of the movie releases, you will see a wave of buyouts. I am telling you now, please get your SRs. If you want, get your alt arts. They will be gone. These will be expensive. And then you're going to complain when you don't get them. Right? They're good looking alts. It's just we don't have the part 2 of Infinity Castle yet. But when we do, expect these to go up. I'm telling you now for your sake, because I know for a fact these will go up, just like it did for Volume 1s. The Volume 1s will go up even higher, by the way. But Volume 2s are going to go up. Don't complain when these are just outright gone. Or they're just double their prices, okay? It's going to happen. Okay, but that's it for the market watch. Basically, a lot of price changes haven't necessarily happened. It's just some buyouts here and there. But we're approaching a problem in UA where because Bandai has like basically almost zero reprint policies. Basically they have like a zero reprint policy essentially. The cards that will get bought out will get bought out. They won't repopulate unless people have them. And at this point, people are just holding them. You're not really going to see older boxes in stores. Like, you don't see SAO or Demon Slayer Volume 1 in stores anymore. JJK Volume 1s may be there. Hunters, Bleach might be there. Code Geass, I know it's gone, but Code Geass doesn't matter. But basically, you're going to see these sets run out. And so the problem is if you're getting in later especially, the issue is getting staples. I will do a video on this probably tomorrow or something. It's already 6 right now, so I'm a little tired. But basically, the markets haven't really changed for the most part. Some 2 stars have been bought out, 3 stars have been bought out, and then staples have gone up in price along with SRs. But not every set has this issue. It's just some sets. So if you see your cards are cheap and you want to build it, like for a hunter or whatever, you should build it. You should build it. Do not hesitate. Just build it. Because what's going to happen is this Bisky is going to get bought out. And then in the future, when they make Hunter Volume 3, yellow gets support. That's like maybe really good. And then you can't get the specials. Or you can't get the finals. Because they won't reprint it probably in the Volume 3s. Again, we have to see how Volume 3 works, actually, because Volume 3 Bleach is just announced. We don't know any new cards for it yet, obviously. If they do reprint stuff like the finals specifically, I think that's fantastic. But if they don't, it presents a huge issue in that these will be unavailable, and you're typically playing 3 to 4 of these per deck. You're also playing this in both builds, right? Because this is just a generic card. The specials are one thing. These are another. Also, well, actually, there's a few things I actually wanted to look up really quick. Sword Art Online. For Volume 1. So, the special in this set. There's one special, in specific for this. Yeah, this. So this is a 4 for the GGO build, actually, going back on this. Some of the specials will get bought out, too. Because, again, while these aren't as generic as the finals, these are generally 4-ofs for their respective decks. This is the special for the GGO build. The Yuki build has her own special, Mother's Rosario. This has 6 listings left. It goes to almost $2, and then it goes to $2, and then it goes to 5, almost 6, then it goes to 5, almost 6, then it goes to like 6, and then it goes to 7. These will run out. That's the problem. These staples for certain decks, I don't see these ever getting reprinted. Finals, maybe, but I don't see specials ever getting reprinted. I should say this for another video. I just want to cover this because again, there are buyouts happening because people realize if Bandai's not going to reprint certain cards or even certain sets, where are you going to get the cards? Unless they reprint them in tournament packs. But right now, tournament packs have been really disappointing. This current season, they went back to the 4 promo cards. So it's not the pack of 6. It's not the pack of 3 cards in the pool of 6. It's just 4 guaranteed cards, which means 4 locals gets you all the cards you need. In my opinion, I should cover this in another video. I'm sorry, I keep detracting because it just keeps going back to the conversation, but I need to make this into a separate video entirely, actually. So, all right, for now, we'll just cut it off here. We'll do that is the market for now. We'll cover one more thing with Union Arena. Is the 3 stars. Actually, I wanted to cover. I just want to look at the prices really quick. Okay, I guess. We'll go cards. What? Sorry, I don't know how to separate this apparently. We're the 3 stars prices really quick, and then the 2 stars. 2 stars haven't really changed. We did see them in the sets, 700, 700 for the Ruki. Yeah, the Urumeshis. Yeah, that makes sense. The market prices are a lot lower. It's just the lowest listed is a lot higher because not many have been pulled. They don't really repopulate because either boxes are unavailable or people are just holding onto boxes. I mean, these serialized, these don't matter. The 2 that did get bought out was the UG serialized number. Oh, no, not I'm stupid. Sorry. The UG 3-star was bought out, and I guess it repopulated. It's at 300 minimum. Sukuna is completely out too. Yeah. These price don't really change because again, these are chase cards. These are more for collectors than anything, unless you're me and are restarted and want to get a playset of them. But yeah, in general, prices haven't changed that much with the higher 2 stars and above. It's something you want to be aware of if you're trying to bling out your decks, is that these will eventually run out. It's one of those issues where that once they run out, they run out. Like the Alice, the Yu-Gi-Ohs, you won't see them repopulate again, probably. So you kind of should have luck if you're trying to get them. Yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh's gone. Lust is gone. FMA won't get a volume 2 likely. It will get a binder collection at best, so they aren't going to reprint this, so good luck trying to get them now. Gojos are gone too. Yeah, it's just a problem of once they're gone, they're gone. This has 1 listing left on this Gojo, so that's kind of scary. Inosuke's haven't repopulated for a long while. The Muzan, there's only 5 of them left. There's 100. Tangans haven't repopulated. Yeah. Envy haven't repopulated either. Sukuna's got bought out recently. It's just, yeah. Again, this is more for the high-end market, by the way. In general, when it comes to UA, if you're just getting base rarities, you don't have to worry about it too much. That's it. Holy shit, this is a long video. Okay. Thank you for watching. I hope you kind of liked it. I know I'm all over the place. It's just there's so much in the market that moved. I just didn't really realize it. It's just when it comes to the SRs and the base stuff, if you're gonna get them, just get them now. Sometimes they won't repopulate, and you just kind of have to bite the bullet. Then because they're not gonna get that much cheaper. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will do another video on the current state of UA and the market because it's actually really important that this topic is covered because of UA's not necessarily official policy, but just with the way they do reprints and stuff, it's just kind of becoming a problem now. That's only become evident after we passed the 1-year mark, and people are slowly realizing that. So yeah, that's it. I'll do that video like probably tomorrow. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it's long. I'm sorry for that. I kind of went off. But I will see you guys tomorrow then for the next video.